Okay. You're good.
Good. Good. All right. Well, it's 10 o'clock and the chairman's not here this morning, but we have an agenda review for this Wednesday's meeting. And Mr. Manager, would you like to go through some of these things?
Yes, certainly. We'll go down to February 1st agenda. We'll start with Nicole on what's going to be under county.
Good morning, everyone. We will do a small announcement about American Park Month. February 9th is County Day at the Capitol, so we'll talk just a smidgen about that. And then I have a really cool story coming from Corrections about their community calendar, so we'll have those for you too.
What was the second thing you mentioned?
February 9th, County Day at the Capitol.
That KC, is that KAC or KCCA?
KAC, Kansas Association of Counties.
Del Cam part of that too, or just KAC only?
I believe it's a KAC event.
All right. That's on tonight. All right.
Then after minutes, we have this one proclamation for Black History Month. We have a series of appointments. And just to mention, on one of the upcoming staffs in February, we're going to kind of just do an overview of advisory boards in general. Kind of go through the website of where all the advisory boards that the county runs. And there's some openings in some, and so we're just going to do that in public in front of the commission. But this is a variety of there's one resignation and a variety of either reappointments or appointments on a variety of committees. Under new business, Denise Sherman will be here and she'll probably bring through and they'll give us an update on TCAM and their move to the new building, their capital campaign, et cetera. Item K is a zoning case, which we expect we'll have a lot of citizens come in to testify to down in District 2, the 87th and Hydraulic. Item L is going to be, I'm going to let Lindsay talk just a little bit about this. We're going to delay that for a week. And Lindsay, you want to kind of talk about what's happening there?
Sure. So, Commissioner, this is the revised American Rescue Plan Act spending plan that we want to do with you. And so if you recall, our commissioner gave you your information. Last year, we went through a process of updating the spending plan multiple times during the year. It has a number of provisions throughout. And so we have gone through an exercise where we have talked with staff about their requests for the positions and what the need is. So we're going to have some revisions to that. But then the reason we want to defer it for a week is because we're still looking for some precision on some of the plans that we would like to put forward to you, including using ARPA funds to pay for the move of HR out of the historic courthouse and into the first floor of this building. And then to use that vacated space in the historic courthouse for district court needs. So there's going to be some give and take in the cost there. We want to come to you with a precise number as opposed to estimates, which is where we are today. So that's why we're asking to put that off for 1 week. And we will brief you and get that information to you ahead of time so that you know what we're asking.
So we'll slot everything down, take that off, slot everything back in order. And then M is the boards of bids and contracts. Joe's on if there's any question about that. The consent items are mostly, if not all, aging related. Item N is a contract renewal with Mercy Home Care. The funding source on that is the older American funding source to provide homemaker services, alternative care, and respite services. So that is a contract renewal. Item O is a series of contracts totaling a little over $290,000 for 8 different vendors to provide services at senior centers. That's on page 98 if you're about to see what those 8 contracts are all about. Item P is aging mill levy contracts. These are both with senior services, 2 contracts totaling a little over $272,000 to provide Meals on Wheels and some shipping and delivery services for elderly. Item Q is Mental Health Association Transitional Housing Services Agreement, which provides transportation to adults with severe mental health and illness situations. It's a little over $148,000. Tim can talk to these if there's questions on any of these. Item R is a signature authority item that the chairman by statute has authority to sign or delegate any of our documents that we do business with KDADs on. So that is Chairman Meitzner's to sign or to delegate to another commissioner or staff on how he wants to do signature on types of issues. S is our usual agreement with WAMPO to continue running out of the Reagan building. WAMPO this past year started paying $30,000 to the county for that use, and that will continue into the future part of this contract as well. Item T is a lease agreement extension at the Harry Street Mall. And I think Tanya can talk to that if there's questions. It's a corrections. Sure, it's for JFS. Item B is a CIP amendment for a bridge program that went over budget by a little over $8,000. So there's an amendment there. It was a $500,000 project, and it's came in at $508.43. So the commission will have to approve that. There's a staffing addition for aging, one case manager one, which was paid for and approved in budget, paid for by KDAD's funded monies. A little over $60,000 for that. It's a nutrition assessment position for aging. And the rest is general routine business of planning and tax roll, et cetera. So that is all we have. If there's any questions, we have a staff here to answer.
Can you talk about JFS? What's going on?
Sure. We are extending the lease at JFS until December of 2024. So that was set to expire this year, June of 2023. So
I thought the owner was asking for that. The calendar year, this beginning of this year, when it's supposed to be. But we're moving out to the outbuilding, out the parking lot. We were moving out because they needed that space.
So we moved
somewhere else.
So where JFS was, they picked up and they moved to where pretrial and drug court was.
Okay.
Kind of the, I would say the west end of the Harry Street Mall. And that lease was set to expire June of 2023, so this year. So we extended that lease until the end of December of 2024.
We have a plan where that's going to end up after that.
We don't, not at the moment.
Okay.
Are there one-year options?
There is not. There is, I talked to Max and we will talk to him probably about 6 months before that December 2024 to see what we can do with that lease. And then the only other thing I might add is we have not typically paid for utilities at that location. He asked that we start paying for gas and electric starting in August of this year. But I might just add that he has never added any additional rent at that lease location since he's been there. So I'll just.
Is it a concern that we don't have any language into an option period? Right? If it's a triple net lease, is it, do we know? I mean,
we've had language all along.
but we're not in an official option period right now.
Well, I will tell you, I mean, just talking with Max, that there are plans that he has in the location where we are with JFF.
One right now.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but he's open to discussions prior to that expiration date. It's just going to depend on what he has planned for that location. And we know this.
Okay.
So as of right now, has he got the space he needs? We moved out of the way so he can do what he needs to do there.
Where JFS was and moved out.
Okay.
But there are, I know that he has plans for where JFS is now, where pretrial and drug.
Do we have some capital improvement costs to relocate JFS this last time?
Nope, they just picked up bodies and they moved right into where pretrial and
The
drug.
spaces were okay. They didn't have the security and all kinds of things there. So
Nope, there was nothing to do other than just pick up bodies. And
It's pretty bare bones over there. Is there any concern? Should we have a contingency plan in 6 months if he says that he wants to terminate the lease in a year? Do we have a contingency plan of where to locate those people?
I mean, that's going to have to be a discussion with corrections.
I thought we had an option of moving out to Ace Hardware building out the parking lot. That's no longer now.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to talk to him on to see what the plan is there. He may have other plans for that Ace Hardware at this point.
During the budget retreat, we're going to talk over the next couple of weeks, either through staff meeting, or through budget retreat, we're gonna talk a lot about space. And one of the things we're gonna talk about is juvenile complex, which pretty much is down at Lincoln and Hydraulic with some other types of rentals out there. We're gonna talk about, when you talk about additional space, Munger and the annex on the courthouse, there's options here. I feel pretty good that we would, if that would happen, that we could come up with a contingency fairly quick. But we're gonna talk through that in some great detail with you within the next couple of weeks here to talk about what the commission wants to do to move forward with this whole issue of corrections and how we're leasing all these spaces and maybe a more efficient model in the future.
I think you're touching on something I've been thinking about for a while, and maybe this is the right time to bring this up, but our last space needs study was done before the pandemic. And we've learned that a lot of people can work from home. I think there's maybe still working from home, but maybe that's a good model in some positions in the county that we maybe didn't really consider that when we did our space needs study. I'm just curious if as we start talking about admin building coming up, whether a space needs study is something that needs to be revisited, because maybe that footprint's slightly smaller than it used to be. And I'm not sure we actually need 80,000 square feet anymore.
I believe that is, we've talked a lot about that for several months. We've had some very recent discussion with HR and finance who are doing some hybrid types of remoting. I think the jury is still out on whether working from home is sustainable long term. I think that the finance director, Lindy, is here, and Sheena are looking very closely at that. If true, though, if it does show that that is the right model, we can do it effectively and efficiently, and it's something that employees like and would want to work at the county. If it's a recruiting tool for us, then absolutely the footprint in the future admin space, wherever that is, would be reduced somewhat. IT is effectively remoting. They have been since the pandemic. They weren't really part of the admin building discussion anyway, but I think that discussion, we have so much in the county that cannot remote. We are so service oriented that we just, our people got to come in to physically be at work. But for those positions that can, that's absolutely spot on. We could look at a reduced footprint.
I know this is the right time for the discussion, but I know we're thinking about admin building discussion. So it's relevant to the juvenile field service discussion. I still want to see JRF reopen. I'm still interested in that. It's still not open, right?
I don't believe so.
Rusty's out today, but I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think it's open still. And
I think that we will have many public discussions about space. We will either do it in staff, as part of a budget retreat, or in an open meeting. I think all of those discussions need to be in public so that people can hear what our challenges are as a county and get some guidance from the commission on how they want to move forward.
I don't have any other questions on this. Is there anybody online that needs to speak up to anything on the agenda that we've? Or me be in the room, so there's anybody online.
I don't think Commissioner Lopez is on it, and I was wondering if it's not.
Well, I have no questions. Everybody else?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Connors. Yeah.